Hi, welcome to a new plugin guru video. My name is John. Skippy, I'm cool. Hands together, head bowed. This is Retrosphere 2. Retro analog synth goodness. Oh my gosh, there is so much here to enjoy and play with. Let me show you a couple other. These are the BPM splits. So they kind of like give you like a quick synopsis of all the sounds you can hear. There's a Linn drum kit. Let's see, let's get the snare. That's a Linn kit. Bernardo Fesch, this wonderful new friend of mine, said sure to use these samples. He'd gotten them to a friend of ours who made library presets for this Saif, and I said, Saif, I want to have a Linn drum in this. And he's like, I just got these samples from Bernardo. So I talked to Bernardo and he said, you may use them. And so we all have Bernardo to thank. These are his own samples from his own Linn. And it sounds so good. Up here you hear all these bass sounds. Really cool stuff going on there. Cool synth sounds, BPM ARPs, all that kind of stuff. Here's Inbound. This is one from Saif. You can see the fuzzy video of the beginning logo to something on VHS tape. And you can hear a little FM layer in here. This is because Unify has DX built into it. Now you don't need any other plugins, just Unify. But because Unify has other synths, he very smartly and very cool used FM synthesis, which is a big part of that sound in the retro days. For this bass, you can we all need to do exercise. Okay, I gotta stop having fun. Let's do a couple other really. This one's really sad, horrible. You won't like it. There. Science. Right. So. Then there's sad things like Temporary Love. And there's tricks and fun things galore. For example, this sound right here is a vocal sample from Unify. The sample 3 gigabytes that comes with Unify. It's got a pump house doing a quarter note, or actually an eighth note pump. And then on top of that, there's a little umbrella. So it can kind of fade out a little bit. And then come back in. So fun things like that. There's some other tricks to show you. This library has 236 patches. It has over 100 samples of retro synthesizers. It has 50 drum samples. 50 there's two different drum kits. There's, like I showed you earlier, the Linn, which has the really cool speed it up, right? And as you can see, I made 29 retro synth patterns. So you can go boomy. Yeah, that's retro. No, here you go for this. 16th beat solid. Go over here and go to Night Rider, right click, say load into Unify, and I just love it. So it's pretty cool. Now, if you go over here to like this blue ARP, in this particular patch is kind of cool because Saif, he has worked with Oleg on blue ARP, and so they've released all of these additional patches. And so for this base BPM Night Rider, all 127 new blue ARP patterns are in here. So if you just go through these, tons of bass patterns. Right? So anyway, so there's the LM1 drum kit. Let me get Night Rider back out of there so you can just hear. And then I sampled, Oblivion Sound Lab has a really cool plugin called hexdrum. You'll see it in the interface on the screen. It's a really cool synth drum for doing Simmons type of drums. And so I used that and I made retro synths. So there's two types of retro kits. There's this. Now, if you want, you can go auto car on the LM1. Load that into new layer. Now I got both. And let's go over here, and instead of that other bass, let's go Blinded Me. No, let's not. We did that already. Let's go Committed to the 80s. Right? Now, what's fun with Unify is by right-clicking on these, I can say B, and now that puts those three sounds immediately just in the left hand. And let's make a real fun thing to play. Up here are these BPM synths. Let's say Counting Miracles, load that to a new Unify layer. And I'm gonna just click on the low note with right click and then hit C, and I've made a split. And he's really loud. Right? It's that easy to combine all the different BPM things. On top of that, there's tons of regular straight ahead basses. There's really cool samples. For this library, I licensed about half of the library from Kurt Strommeyer, who did the samples for Retrosphere Volume 1 for Omnisphere. Those were mostly Oberheim samples. This library, a lot of the samples are from my yellow Waldorf Micro Q and my blue Waldorf Pulse. I use that for a lot of the basses and for the synth pads and stuff like that. So a lot of these sounds came from there. Some are polyphonic because they need to be polyphonic because they're doing stuff like that. I'm not going to play every patch. There's, as I said, 236 to go through, but... And I didn't do this. I should have done this, but if you wanted to, you could right-click and say, add instrument 1 to the current layer, and that would put the 50 velocity and the 127 together. So if we were to go over here and set the velocity range for this second layer to like 107 and take the top one, which is the soft velocity, and it stops at 106. So 0 to 106 plays this layer, and then once we get to over 106, it plays the other layer. And you could actually emphasize that a little more, bringing down the filter. As you can hear, what's fun when you start playing with layers, each layer can have different parameters. So we could have totally dry. And remember, the power of Unify is that each of these layers could be any synthesizer you own. So any of these patches you call up, let's say I've called up, oh, Thor is really cool, right? What would that be like with Serum? All you have to do is go Unify, add an empty layer, go to where it says Sine Wave Synth, click the little dot right here, go down here, go to Extra Records. Now you have to own Serum for this to work, but if you have other synthesizers that you've let Unify know you own, they'll show up on the list. Just add it. Go over here to the envelope, add this to the filter. I've layered Serum. And if I set this up to be something like the basic waveforms, and then turn down the volume of this, but use the synthesis of this to go over here and do like FM from B. Whatever you want to do in Serum, you can do. And it's added to this. So these patches are great. They can be made even better if you want to layer and play with them. If you own other unified libraries, you can just go to, let's say we go to the factory library to a bass. Let's say we want to add God mode. Right click, load into new unified layer, and now you're seeing some things in the interface that don't exist in Unify 1.6. In December, we're releasing 1.7, and it will include this, which is really cool because you could say load embedded, and now just by a simple click, it will automatically add whatever I click to this. So I could say Dirty FM. And then Tonker. So I've added all those just by clicking. So all sorts of cool stuff. We were always adding stuff to Unify, so good stuff. Now, let's get back. Retrosphere, basses. I showed you most of the basses. There's some really nice bells. Retro bells. Right, Spacewalker. Then we get to the BPM basses, the Head Snapper, Night Rider. Then all the drum grooves. And I will show you a couple things on the drum grooves. There's 29. They're available both as LM1. Here's 16-beat get down from the LM1. And then here's 16-beat get down from the retro. Right? Now if you want, you can right click and add the two together. If you want them both to play. The other thing, if you look at the knobs, there's knobs assigned to all the patches, by the way, so make sure you hit the knob button and play with the knobs. We have on page 2, I set up noise box note, and what this does is if you bring this up past the middle point, it turns on note transpose for MIDI box. Now if you play on the keyboard, it transposes the drums. Which is really cool. You can also use this to, this is a really cool trick. If you set to a pitch like this and then turn it off, now it's stuck at that pitch. Now you can go over here, go to keys, let's say we add this, digital and acoustic dreams, and so I've added a drum groove, I changed the tuning of it, and then by turning that MIDI note back off, now it's playing at that new high pitch. And I could go to another patch in the drums. Let's say Retro 8-beat, load this into a new Unify layer, and you can layer them and do all sorts of fun stuff like that with them. So it's pretty cool. So there's two kits. LM1 are more the sampled drum machine from the Linn drum. Retro, you can see all these here. This is a synth drum like the Simmons. I can't read my writing, my own writing. If you don't know Dissidence from Thomas Dolby, you must go play it right away. It is so funky and happening. I even did Submarines. One of all submarine. Boom, 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 boom. It's in there, all that kind of stuff. So the BPM splits really kind of show off everything. Typically, the left hand is playing the bass, and the right hand's playing the synthy parts. And then if you go to the knobs, I've got controls on a lot of these. Turn the drums down. And let's say that you're playing through this, and you hit solo, and say you like this part. I'll show you a really cool trick. If you drag this up to the very, very top, so it's the #1 instrument layer, right? And then you hold down Command, or actually it's Alt or Option and Command, depending on your PC or Mac, and hit Init, it will erase everything except for layer 1. Boom. And then you can click right here where it says C4, and see I'm changing the low range. So now I have this. So if there's a certain element to one of these that you want to pull out, it's really easy to do it that way. Just go over here, let's play Flash Time. Now I love the bass. Now in this case, I might like say, here's the bass. I want to keep those guys for, I'm going to work on a different song. I don't need the right hand stuff or the drums because I'm going to add those from my DAW. So I would hold down Option, and I could delete the layers around it that I don't need. So I just have the bass. And now it currently stops at B3 because that's where it says right here, but I could click and drag to put it the whole range. So you can pull elements out from these BPM split things. They're kind of a showcase of a whole lot of things working together, because that's how I know that the sounds will work together, is I put them together and use them. If you just make patches and they just sit there in a little list and you never use them together, you're not going to know if they work together or not. So this is kind of a, oh, minor. So there's all sorts of these to play with, keeping it secret. Right? Neon Camaro, I showed you at the beginning. Temporary Love is kind of cool. This one should be slower. Maybe faster than that. Right? So again, you could pull out components and elements if you hear something you like. Below this, we have some BPM synths. There's 8-bit Sunrise, which is really pretty. And if you put drums with this, let's say one of the retro kits, Counting Miracles. We layered that earlier for our little experiment with the Knight Rider bass. Nice. And in Stranger Ways, I'm using the Chow tape model inside of the master chain. So there's two different layers that are making a really cool sound that sounds like this. Kind of that Stranger Things. It's got that harmonic. But turn on Chow tape and now it becomes like it's now been put to VHS tape and sat in a garage for 20 years. Isn't that cool? So you can have it either way. Just hit the B button to bypass Chow tape. Or turn it back on and put it back in the garage for another 10 years. So either way, the brass, I said that we have really cool brass. Really, really cool. Tons of them. CS80-ish. Totally usable in so many different ways. And fun to layer. If this is in December when you have 1.7, just go over here and say load embedded and just click. And now I layered two patches together. If this is before December and 1.7 is not out, you just right click and say load into new Unify layer and like that. So go back to load patch. Like I said, there's a lot. And I shape these, and you can shape them more if you want. Inside a Guru sampler, here's your filter EG. This is playing a big part. Having it be really slow brass. Right? Fun to play with. So lots of brass. The Super Troop is cool. Just the right amount of cheese. These aren't not pristine samples. I would argue that's why they sound so nice in a mix. I made a really weird thing on my micro cue. It's got panning and it shows up in weird places. And I use that, I think, to make a little bit more fleshed out version as well. Here are the two drum kits, the retro analog kit. They all start on B. Below that, there's no sound. And once you get above where the range is, there's no sound. And they both follow the same notes. So there's the LM1. Okay, some cool effects. We made these in a programming live stream a couple nights ago. If you want to watch me make them, go back and watch that video. I'll post a link. The keyboard, there's not a cool keyboard. This is the micro cue. It can do this really cool carpless strong kind of a pulse. Really cool stuff. That's combining the piano that's part of Unify with the There's this micro Q piano. There's a couple in here that are like Digital Dreams, which is combining a DX. So you're getting that FM vibe with this analog vibe, and together really nice, funky clavs. I made some huge leads and some cool. Cuvation. And then Throw on Fire is. I did some pitch bend tricks with this. Pitch bend up takes it from a to a fifth. Pitch bend down takes it down and takes another one down an octave lower. So you can lead all you want. Some really, really nice pads. Soft, bright, digi. It goes on and on. This flange string is cool. JX12 is cool. So many. Look at all these pads. There's just so many. Then I made some plucks, which are fun. Gotta have plucks, sometimes simple. Right? Right? And then synth for days. Taylor Harris, my assistant, made some patches. So Saif, Taylor, and then Bernardo Fresh all helped, contributed to this library to make it what it is. So thank you to all of them, which helped. Give it a little bit more than just a skippy side, but cool. So it's a fun library. And you only need Unify to get all of these wonderful waveforms to come out of your speakers. So available at plugandgroove.com, and enjoy. I'm going to leave it right there. Explore. I can't wait to hear what you guys come up with and create with all these sounds. Yeah, keep going. We'll see you later. Thanks.